All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, what I'm going to be covering today is to give you some tips on telesales. Regardless of your skill level, whether you're brand new, you've been doing this for a while, sometimes we just need a reminder or kind of go back to the basics of what works, what doesn't. I'm going to give you some tips on what I think is some really good advice on getting better at telesales. So, I am going to be looking down at my notes. I got too much stuff to remember. So, um, first thing I want to talk about is how critically important it is to learn the script and have it memorized. It's not a bad idea to have the script, next to you. I still have the script next to me just to kind of glance over, make sure I'm keeping on track. But you want that script memorized so well that you don't have to look at it, that it just becomes second nature. It's like muscle memory. Okay. It's like an actor learning their scripts. And then once you learn it and you internalize it, then it's easy for it to become your own. And it's going to sound a lot more like a conversation than versus a script because you don't want to sound scripted. Then, you sound like a telemarketer. But it's important to, when you're new, and still even today, I mean, I still look at the script and before I start making calls, man, I mean, I like rehearse the script. I go over it in my head, practice it. If you're brand new, I would recommend practice the script at least 10 or 15 times every single day. And then record yourself too. Um, on your tablet, phone, whatever it is, record yourself so you can listen to how you sound. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to send that to your upline manager or role play with somebody. Role play with your spouse, a friend, somebody that can kind of listen to you. I think agents sometimes greatly underestimate how important that is, that your conversation with the client, it's got to sound natural and it's got to sound like it's coming from you, like it's coming from your heart. So again, welcome to the channel. Let me introduce myself. My name is Joe Johnson. I'm a manager here with Senior Life. If you like content like this, do myself a favor. I would appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel. We put out new content a couple times a month. Also, you can hit subscribe to the channel, like the video, maybe leave a comment, and then hit that notification bell. This way, you'll get notified the next time I put out a video. Also, if you'd like to have a conversation, if you need help with your script, if you want a free 15-minute coaching call, you want to call me, I have no problem. I work with agents all over the country in different agencies. I will leave a link in the description below. It's a link that you can contact me. Give me your information. We'll have a conversation. We'll see if we can't help improve on what you're already doing. I'm sure you're doing some great stuff now, but there's always room for improvements for everybody. The other thing too is work on your tonality. Learn to talk low and slow. Maybe kind of that mirror and matching thing. Match the cadence of your clients. That's really important. I always start off the conversation super low and slow. And then if my client's a little bit of if they have a faster cadence, I'll kind of adapt to what that cadence is. But initially, I don't want to come out like super rapid fire, talking really, really quick. That may throw your client off a little bit. Learn to speak with confidence. This is really important. You know, you I think it's important that you have to project yourself as someone with a position of authority and that you are the expert. Remember, you're the one with the insurance license, okay? So even though you may not think you're an expert, to your client's eyes, you're an expert. And people want to deal with experts. They want to deal with people that are confident, people that know what they're talking about, and always be polite. I always like to say, be politely assertive. Like you don't want your clients running all over you, so you need to be somewhat assertive, but at the same time, you need to learn to be polite. Don't be rude. Don't interrupt your clients. Let them talk. Have what I'd like to say is controlled enthusiasm. Like you want to be enthusiastic, but you don't want to be so over the top, that your clients, sound like you're fake or something. And you certainly don't want to sound like a telemarketer either. The other thing when I listen to agents, I hear this all the time where they get stuck, they're not sure what to say, and they use sounds or words like or yeah, but get those try to eliminate the uhs and yeahs, okay? Um I just did it just then. It's kind of funny. It's better to have 2 seconds of silence while you're composing yourself and thinking about what to say next versus saying, well, okay, so work on that. Try to eliminate that from your conversation. Body language. Listen, I know we're talking about telesales, but don't be afraid to be animated while you're talking to your clients on the phone. And remember to smile a little bit. Be enthusiastic. If you talk with your hands on the phone. Somehow that energy comes through the phone. Don't ask me how it works, but it just works. So use your body language even when you're doing telesales. If I didn't say it, remember to smile too. Have good voice inflection. You don't want to sound super monotone. Okay, it's boring. You don't want to bore them to death. So learn to have a little bit of inflection in your voice. Sometimes it's better to get up a little bit high and then come down low when you're asking those tough questions. You know, lower your voice a little bit like this. Make your clients lean into the phone a little bit. Ask good fact-finding questions. Don't be afraid to ask good questions, but it's important if you ask those questions in what I like to call if you can adapt a curious tone, like, oh, wow, can you tell me more about that? What exactly does that look like? Wow, I see. How does that make you feel? See, that has a curious tone to it. So learn how to adapt those curious tones. It will draw your clients in. One thing we don't want to do, we don't want our presentation or we don't want our introduction, we don't want it to sound like an interrogation, you know? How old are you? When were you born? Do you have life insurance? Who's it with? How much is it with? How much do you have? How much are you paying? That sounds like an interrogation. If you use my script, it'll sound more like a conversation. Ask questions that will uncover the emotional why. Remember, people don't buy products, they buy feelings. They buy how that product makes them feel. So if you're an agent that is just regurgitating features and benefits, you will have some success, but you will have better success if you can help that client. And sometimes they don't know. That's the importance of asking good questions, is help them uncover their why. You got to get into the emotional side. Remember, 95% of why people buy is because of an emotional decision that's backed up by logic. Does that make sense? Only 5% is logic. 95% is how are you making them feel? Um, Asking, why they requested the information in the first place. Who are they trying to protect in the family? Mrs. Smith, God forbid, but if you don't wake up tomorrow morning, who is it that's going to be in charge of your final arrangements? How do you feel about that? Get them to talk about that. Then, that's going to make them more emotionally attached to the decision. And if you can get who the beneficiaries get the name out, then it's kind of nice during your presentation is to use that child's name or whoever the beneficiary is going to be. Use them in that conversation to help build that emotion. Remember, at first you don't succeed if you suck on the phone, like I did when I first got started. Then I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you to fake it till you make it. Okay? Act like you're an expert. You know, you may not be an expert, but act like you're an expert. If you have to pretend like you're an expert, that's fine. This is the one time I'll tell you it's okay to fake it till you make it. Okay? And it works. Give yourself some confidence. When you get on the phone, tell yourself, I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. I can help these people. I can help put them in a better situation than when I found them. And point blank, if you go into sales, and I don't care what it is you're selling, but if you go into any type of sales situation with a true heart, and in your heart of hearts, all you really want to do is put that client in a better situation, whether you sell them or not, people are going to pick up on that. They can feel you through the phone. If you're doing face to face, they can feel your emotion. They will pick up on the fact that you're really there to help them, not just make a sale. And the other thing too is give yourself permission to fail. It's okay to fail. There's going to be a learning curve. In fact, I have it written down here. I think the learning curve, what I tell most agents is give yourself 90 to 120 days. That's 6 months. Okay. That's not much of a learning curve when you look at someone who potentially is looking at this as a career for 15, 20 years. Give yourself permission to fail. Get help from your mentor, get help from your upline, but don't quit. Okay. You got to quit quitting. Get through the learning curve. Only massive activity will accelerate you through the learning curve. So I call it condensing time frames. The more you can do, remember, your goal should be a minimum of 15 presentations every single week. How much activity is it going to take to get 15 presentations? How many leads? I don't know. You're going to have to figure that on your own. But you need to be committed and dedicated that you're going to put in the work no matter what to make a minimum of 15 presentations a week. Okay, that could be 6 hours a day, it could be 8 hours a day, it could be 10 hours a day, it could be 30 leads, it might take you 100 leads. I don't know. But what I do know is the harder you work, the more effort you put into it, the better you're going to get. And if you condense those time frames, you will get through the learning curve a lot quicker. I have a little note in here about working leads, a minimum 20 to 40 fresh leads every single week. Set a daily activity goal. You need to keep an activity tracker. This is self-accountability. If you're doing telesales, if you're making outbound calls, your goal should be 200 to 250 outbound dials every single day. Now, that's not 200 leads. Trust me, you give me a stack of 15 leads, I can call those leads 250 times. When you count in triple dial them, I may take one lead and triple dial it 3 or 4 times. That means I'm calling that, one lead 16 to 20 times in a day. So it's you here's something that may seem counterintuitive, I don't know, but you'll get more people to pick up if you have high intensity on a lead versus let's say you got a lead, but you call it 100 times, but you call 100 times over a 6 month period. Well, that those folks can learn how to ignore you. You call a lead 20 times a day, 3 days in a row, eventually they're going to pick up. Are they going to be pissed off at you? No. Remember, they filled the form out. It's your job to deliver the information in which they requested, to educate them on how the programs work, educate them on how you can protect their family. Look for look for opportunities during your conversation. Your clients are going to give you little micro openings, certain things they're going to say that you need to pick up on. So you need to be a good listener. They're going to give you little openings where you're able to ask some probing questions. And don't be afraid to dig in and dig deep, but in a non-confrontational way. You don't want it to be invasive, but remember, if it's coming from your heart and you do it in the curious tone that you're going to work on, then clients are more likely to open up. I can remember when I first got started, I would ask questions, and I honestly I had clients that said, "Well, that's none of your business." Like, oh, what the hell did I say? Then I learned how to change up the way I say things and more of a curious tone. Client, I'll give you an example. Client already has life insurance. Oh, I already have a policy. Oh, okay. Well, who's it with? You may get the client say, well, it's none of your business. But if you change it up and say, oh, I see you already have coverage. Out of curiosity, is this something that you just got recently, or have you had it a long time? See the difference? They're more likely to open up if you do that. Remember, objection handling will not be effective. You will not be an effective objection handler if you do not dig into the emotion and find out what the client's why is. Remember, be a good listener. And I think the last thing I want to talk about is something that I call, I don't know if I coined this phrase or somebody else did, but it's called lead poverty. Lead poverty. You know what lead poverty is? Lead poverty is when you don't have enough leads and you allow yourself to get emotionally attached to every single lead that you purchase, and all you're worried about is the money that you spent. You're not looking at it as an investment. So when you have the mindset of lead poverty, instead of getting fresh leads, you have the mindset, well, I'm not going to buy any more leads until I resolve every single lead that I have. It's not going to happen. You need to constantly replenish those leads. You don't want to be in lead poverty. Okay, you need more leads than you have time. Because when you don't have a lot of leads, then you start getting emotionally attached to those leads or to the outcome of those leads. You need to go for some low-hanging fruit. Get fresh leads. You can always go back and work your old leads. Okay? So listen, that's all I got for you today. I hope this information has been helpful. Again, Joe Johnson, Senior Life. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. If you want to reach out to me, if you want to have a conversation, I will leave a link in the description below. Follow that link. Shoot me over your contact information. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if I can help you take your career to the next level. All right, everybody. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.